Tonight on Texas News Primetime.
The end to the longest government shutdown in the U.S. history might be on the horizon. More details about the potential deal.
Greg Abbott announces his campaign for an unprecedented fourth term as Texas governor.
Americans went to the polls last Tuesday. Who's been elected to office and what policies are going into law?
Students staged a sit-in protesting President Trump's compact for higher education. More on the standoff in the UT Tower.
And Texas means business. Longhorn Market took place this Sunday.
This is Texas News Primetime.
News made for Longhorns.
Good evening. For Monday, November 10th, I'm Daniel Davila.
And I'm Megan Dean. Thank you for joining us tonight.
This government shutdown is officially the longest in U.S. history, but it could be ending soon. The Senate has advanced a package that would keep the federal government funded throughout January 2026. The bill also includes SNAP benefits and back pay for furloughed workers. However, key healthcare subsidies are missing. Democrats have been fighting for the extension of healthcare tax credits under the Affordable Care Act for weeks. But 8 Democratic caucus members flipped and voted with Republicans without their inclusion. Instead, Republicans have agreed to vote on the issue in December. If the bill passes in the Senate, it will also need to be approved by the House and be signed by President Trump.
More on the government shutdown. This past Friday, flights at the Austin-Bergstrom Airport were on a ground delay for over 6 hours due to the limited air traffic controllers. Flights going into Austin were grounded to limit air traffic in Austin. Even though the delay only affected arriving Austin flights, many departing flights were also delayed. The ground delay came the day that the 40 largest American airports began complying with an FAA mandated order to reduce their flight amount by up to 10%. Austin was not affected by the mandate, but the airport is still being affected by the shutdown. The U.S. Supreme Court issued an emergency order to block full SNAP payments last Friday. A lower court ruled that the Trump administration must be full fund SNAP for November. However, the Trump administration asked for a higher court to pause any court orders requiring it to overspend their contingency fund. Partial SNAP payments will continue for November. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson said the pause will remain in effect until the first U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals decides on the matter.
Tuesday was Election Day, and ballots across Texas and the country have ushered in a host of new leaders and policies.
TSTV News, Justin Dowd joins us to break down what this election entails.
How are y'all doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me. Overall, the races that were watched nationally produced what some would call a small-scale blue wave. It ushered in Democratic candidates and policies across the country. Here in Texas, all 17 of the constitutional amendments that were on the ballot passed, instituting tax breaks for property owners, imposing new restrictions on bail, funding water infrastructure to combat the state's water crisis, just to name a few of the changes.
Can you tell us a bit more about races and policies being watched nationally, and what races were you keeping an eye on?
Yeah, well, one of the races that the country was tuned into the most was the campaign for the mayor of the city of New York. Zohran Mamdani, the Democratic nominee, beat out independent Andrew Cuomo, the former governor of the state, about 50% to 41%. The remainder went to the Republican nominee, Curtis Sliwa. Maybe one of the bigger takeaways in this race is that Mamdani, who's a former state assemblyman, won over major regions of the city that previously voted for Trump, swinging them back towards a Democratic majority, earning the highest number of votes for the office since 1960. Dems also won offices for Virginia governor and Virginia attorney general, as well as for the New Jersey governorship.
What policy proposals were you keeping an eye on?
Well, the number one proposal that politics junkies kind of had our eyes on was Prop 50 in California. That's the policy that Governor Gavin Newsom orchestrated to redistrict California's congressional districts in an effort to gain 5 Democratic seats to offset the 5 Republican gains expected from Texas's redistricting efforts earlier in the summer under Governor Abbott. So that proposal passed with 65% of the vote, which is more than was expected for even the most hopeful of Democrats. And it canceled out the gains from Texas. It's also pushed other states that were considering redistricting efforts to reconsider in the wake of this so-called blue wave. And then on the other side of the country, in Maine, voters rejected new voting restrictions along the exact same margin, so that's 65%. In a semi-swing state like Maine, that voters would meet California's margins at that same level is really indicative of a potential change that we could see in an upcoming primary race led by the state's governor and challenging candidate Graham Plattner for the open Senate seat, for the 2 open congressional districts in Maine, and for the governorship. So it'll be an interesting race to watch, an interesting state to watch that could have really broad implications for federal elections across the country.
And last question for you. I understand Austin had a bit of a shock on Tuesday.
Yeah, I was hoping you would ask about that. Voters actually rejected Proposition Q, which would have raised property taxes for Austin homeowners and renters by more than $100 million, 110 to be exact, by more than 60% overall. The increase was already incorporated into the city budget, meaning that Prop Q's failure has led city leaders to redraw their plans, slash the budgets of city services to kind of make ends meet. So City Council votes on the revisions this week, but the initial proposal cuts millions from EMS and social services. The recently increased funding for Austin Police remains unchanged. Overall, it indicates kind of a pretty galling lack of trust from Austin voters in the city's financial management. And leaders like Austin Mayor Kirk Watson, Austin City Councilor Mike Siegel in District 7, a whole host of the City Council have said as much publicly.
Well, thanks for coming out today.
Absolutely.
Justin.
Thanks for having me, Daniel.
Yeah. Austin City Manager released a revised budget plan for 2026 following the failure of Prop Q. The city would have gained an estimated $109 million in property tax revenue if the proposition tax has passed. The revision cuts funding from social services contracts, emergency medical services, parks and recreational, the municipal court, Austin Public Health, and the Austin Fire Department. The Homeless Strategy Office will receive an additional $3.7 million. The revised budget is set to go through several sessions before its potential adoption on November 20th.
From one election to another, Greg Abbott announced plans to run for an unprecedented 4th term as Texas governor. Speaking to a crowd in Houston, Abbott laid out his platform for 2026, including limiting local taxing power, eliminating diversity, equity, and inclusion policies in Texas schools, and changes to private school vouchers. Abbott promised to defend what he refers to as Texas values and culture from Democrats and their quote-unquote socialist backers.
Dual protests were held Friday, urging university leaderships to reject the Trump administration's compact for academic excellence in higher education. The first was organized by Not Our Texas in collaboration with Beyond Boundaries, an Austin area coalition of high schoolers advocating for advancements in public education. Around 50 UT students marched to the Texas Capitol, where a brief rally was held, after which members from both groups visited the Office of State Legislators on Education Committees. The second was organized by Austin students for a Democratic Society and coincided with UT's Ring Day celebration.
Hey, ho, ho! Donald Trump has got to go! Hey, ho, ho! Donald Trump has got to go! Hey, ho, ho! Donald Trump has got to go!
After a march around the tower, 14 students conducted a sit-in in the provost's office before Dean of Students staff requested the protesters leave the tower. The students obliged and exited the tower, while 2 representatives stayed to try and schedule a meeting with university leadership. That meeting was denied, and the student representatives delivered a physical list of demands to the Dean of Students staff before leaving the tower.
The city of Austin released a new fire safety initiative this week, along with the No Ember November campaign. Mayor Kirk Watson says Austin ranks 5th in the nation for homes being at risk of a wildfire. Watson and Travis County Judge Andy Brown both signed wildfire proclamations on Friday. Local officials also provided resources such as the All Hazards Protective Action Plan, which helped to create a plan in the case of an evacuation. The Austin-Travis County Wildfire Coalition is working on an updated safety plan as well, something that is revised every 10 years. Austin ISD announced they will be closing 10 schools by fall 2026. The district originally announced in October they would be closing 13 schools as a result of academic performance issues and budget cuts. But in this new updated plan, they removed 3 of the schools from the list of closures. Officials are also delaying a plan to update attendance boundaries that would have an effect on 1/4 of the district's students. The Board of Trustees will vote on the updated plan to close 10 schools at its meeting on November 20th.
UT celebrated their annual ring celebration to honor students and alumni's hard work, achievements, and for pride and tradition. The ring celebration was held in front of the UT Tower. Students need to fulfill 75 credit hours towards the degree to be eligible to purchase a ring. Each ring symbolizes the connection that unites Longhorns for generations. According to Texas Exes, over 50,000 Longhorns have received their official UT class ring.
When we come back, more from UT Theater and Dance's latest production, Cabaret.
And over 50 Longhorn-owned businesses convened for Longhorn Market this weekend. Primetime will be right back. Welcome back to Primetime. UT celebrated their annual First Gen Week to celebrate the determination, leadership, and success of the First Gen community. Throughout the week, there was a range of workshops, professional development opportunities, and socials. First Gen students are those whose parents or guardians did not have a chance to complete a college degree. Many students whose parents have degrees from outside the U.S. also identify as First Gen. UT says it, quote, actively celebrates and it supports, end quote, First Gen students as they forge new paths for themselves and their families.
Hundreds of Longhorns turned out on Saturday for the Project UT's largest annual day of student service. This year's event was held in the Dove Creek neighborhood, where volunteers spent the day painting, gardening, and working with residents to improve different community spaces. Hosted each year by volunteerism and service learning, the project brings together students, faculty, staff, and alumni for a day focused on teamwork and connection. For more on upcoming volunteer opportunities, visit utcollective.org. Marshawn Nealon, a Dallas Cowboy football defensive end, was found dead from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound near a vehicle he had crashed following a police chase north of Dallas early Thursday morning on November 6th. Authorities and the Dallas Morning News say that his body was found in a portable restroom near the intersection of Network Boulevard and Gaylord Parkway in Frisco, Texas. His vehicle was just minutes away from the Star, which is the Cowboys' headquarters. The Texas Tribune Festival will be taking place in downtown Austin from November 13th through 15th. This event, presented by J.B. Morgan Chase, holds a series of events addressing Texas and our nation's biggest conversations, such as technology, security, culture, education, the economy, healthcare, and more. There will be opportunities to attend panel networks with professionals and overall learn about the future of Texas. You can choose from over 100 sessions and events to create your own unique TribeFest experience. Buy tickets today on the Texas Tribune Festival website.
UT's production of Cabaret wrapped up this week. The musical follows English cabaret performer Sally Bowles and American writer Cliff Bradshaw in 1930s Berlin as the Nazi Party rises to power. The play is narrated by the MC, who serves as a guide to Berlin's growing troubles. A 2-hour and 45-minute long production, Cabaret is packed with singing and dancing. The show is a bold display of the dangers of political apathy, with a stark contrast between the flashy Kit Kat Club and the grim streets of Berlin. TSTV News' McKenna Valentina brings us more.
I went into this kind of knowing about the musical, so I knew kind of how the ending was and the underlying themes, but it was still fairly heavier than I thought it would be. I think the differences in the whiplash between the scenes of the cabaret and the actual characters that we're focusing on, I was kind of sitting there like, wow, it was really impressive. That was my main takeaway.
Information about more UT theater and dance productions can be found on the department's website. Their next showing, Rooted in Motion, showcases genre-bending dance choreography, drawing upon dance traditions from West Africa and European folk, and contemporary dance styles. Tickets are on sale now, and the show begins this Thursday.
And with holiday festivals comes holiday spending. UT Texas X's hosted the Longhorn Market last Sunday. The market contained Longhorn-owned business selling goods and clothing. TSTV News' Daniel Davila brings us more about the event.
I think the biggest thing is starting. I think the majority of people with an idea, they never start.
Kicking off the holiday season, UT's Longhorn Market sets shop. With over 50 Longhorn-owned businesses, there's something for everybody. And while most businesses are owned by UT alumni, there are some students, like sophomore Diego Avila, who are getting a head start.
You need to sort of go outside the normal cycle, and if you're way too long, that's impossible. So I think getting a head start is really important here, especially just to get experience, because to be an entrepreneur, you're gonna fail, and you're gonna keep failing, and then maybe one time it works, but that time doesn't come until you fail 10 times.
Avila is the founder of Chicken Fight LLC, a card battle game. The market also featured unique clothing, home goods, gifts, and trinkets. They even have food ranging from chicken pot pie to cookies and pecan pie. Speaking of dessert, Curdy's Cookies, an alumni side hobby turned business, shows how UT alumni always have a place at UT.
It's really cool for us to be able to do these sorts of things, and I think what's cool about UT is that there's people from so many different avenues and backgrounds, and I think it's cool to bring them all together and support one another in one place.
And while businesses are selling their ideas and goods, students are coming out to support.
I think it's great, you're bringing a lot of local businesses, small businesses, you're helping the community. What we should do as a university and as a community to help people who are part of this.
TSTV News, Daniel Davila.
Texas X's hosts regular events and giveaways to raise Longhorn spirit. A complete list of offerings can be found on the Texas X's website.
When we come back, the weather ups and downs continue. We'll take a look at our 7-day forecast.
And basketball season is here. How the Longhorns are starting the season. Primetime will be right back.
Welcome back to Primetime.
There's currently a cold front in Austin, but how long can we expect this cooler weather? Ariana Stevens is here with all you need to know in this week's weather. How are you doing today, Ariana?
I'm doing good, man. How are y'all?
I'm good.
Amazing. Good evening, Austin. For tomorrow, November 11th, set your alarms a bit earlier because we're starting this day with lows near 54 degrees under clear skies. Through the morning, sunshine dominates, and by midday, we'll climb to a high of around 75 degrees. Winds will be from the southwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour with low humidity, meaning conditions are seasonably dry. Heading into evening, skies stay clear, and temperatures slide back up into the upper 50s. Looking at our 7-day forecast, fall temperatures are here, but warmer air is on the way. To start the week, highs will stay in the low 60s with chilly mornings in the low 40s. By midweek, temperatures climb back into the low to mid 80s under mostly sunny skies. Overnight lows will rise into the mid 60s as southerly winds pick up. Friday stays warm and partly sunny with highs around 84. By Saturday, clouds build with a slight chance for a late day thunderstorm. Temperatures drop into the 50s overnight. Then Sunday cool off with highs in the upper 70s and clearer conditions returning. Overall dry, breezy, and warm through most of the week before a modest cool down to end it.
Thanks, Ariana, for prepping us on Austin weather.
You're always welcome.
When we come back, Texas volleyball falls in the rankings. More on their recent performance.
And Grammy nominations are announced. Stay tuned to find out who's nominated. Primetime will be right back. Welcome back to Primetime.
While football season is rounding out, UT basketball season is just beginning. Hallie Diamond has the latest for Press Box on Primetime. How are you doing today, Hallie?
I'm doing good. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's time to take a look at men's and women's basketball. The women's team is on a roll, breezing past their other opponents. Men's basketball had a rough opener, but looked good in their most recent matchup. Women's basketball started off their season last Monday against Incarnate Word, winning 123-51. The game was led by Jordan Lee, who had a career best of 21 points. Rory Harmon had 5 assists and 4 rebounds. The Longhorns shot 65.4% from the field. They then faced off against number 24 Richmond, winning 85-56. Madison Booker had her 29th career game with over 20 points. Rory Harmon, after this game, became 35 assists away from breaking the program's all-time assist record. They're playing Louisiana at Lafayette right now at the Moody Center. The men's team had a rough start, losing to Duke 75-60. Texas remained close for most of the game, but could not reel in the win. Dalen Swain had a team high of 16 points. In their first win in the Sean Miller era, they were able to beat Lafayette 97-60. Trayvon Mark had a team high of again 16 points. Their next game is against Fairleigh Dickinson University Wednesday at 7 p.m.
So, what has been going on with Texas volleyball lately?
Yeah, Texas volleyball has struggled recently, taking 2 losses in a row from Texas A&M and Kentucky. They dropped from number 2 to number 4 in the rankings. The team needed to reset, and the game against Florida was exactly what they needed. In a 3-1 win against the Florida Gators, Ella Swindle got her 2,000th career assist. Florida may have won the first set, but Texas fought back. Tori Stafford led the Longhorns with 21 kills and 8 digs. This was her 5th time this season with at least 20 kills. Senior Whitney Lounstein had a .545 hitting percentage and really stepped up this game. She had 6 kills and 2 major blocks to help the team through their last 2 sets. Kari Spears had her 6th straight game with double-digit kills as she registered 13 while also having 3 digs. This team may have had a setback, but they continue to show how strong they are on the court. Their next game is home against Auburn on Wednesday at 6 p.m.
Let's hope volleyball clinches another win this week. Lastly, let's get into the NFL.
Yeah, so this week was a crazy week in the NFL with 6 games, including the Eagles game right now, 1 possession win. Big upset includes the now 3-7 Miami Dolphins beating the Buffalo Bills 30-13. On the MVP watch, the Colts' Jonathan Taylor had 3 touchdowns. This is the 4th time he's done that this season. Speaking of the MVP race, another contender, Drake May, had a stellar game in the Patriots' win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He had 270 yards for 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. Some other wins yesterday were collected by the New York Jets, the New Orleans Saints, and the Detroit Lions. There were also a handful of injuries across the day. Giants quarterback Jackson Dart departed the game with a concussion and was replaced by Russell Wilson. Garrett Wilson, Dalton Kincaid, Darius Slay, and Cardinals wide receiver Zay Jones all left with injuries this week. Now that we're making our way through the season, the playoff picture is starting to take shape. The top of the NFC are surprisingly the Indianapolis Colts and Denver Broncos. In the NFC, it's the Seattle Seahawks and the Philadelphia Eagles. Week 11 kicks off with the Jets going to New England to face the Patriots Thursday at 7:15 p.m.
Thanks, Allie, for keeping us up to date on all things sports. When we come back, turmoil over a collectible cup from Starbucks, new holiday collection, how consumers reacted and Starbucks' response, coming up.
And the trailer for Michael Jackson biopic was released last Thursday. Michael Jackson's nephew, Jafar Jackson, debuts on the big screen as his world-famous uncle. PrimeTime will be right back.
Welcome back to Primetime.
The Recording Academy released its list of Grammy nominations over the weekend. Christina Krasnova is here to talk about what you need to know on music, movies, and more. How are you doing today, Christina?
I'm great. I'm really excited to be here today. And the best in music was recognized this weekend as the Grammys released nominations for their 2026 awards. Standout names include Kendrick Lamar, who has the most nominations with 9. Next year's Super Bowl halftime performer Bad Bunny was nominated for 6 Grammys, including Best Album. Sabrina Carpenter also released 6 nominations, including Best Song for her #1 hit, Man-Child. One name that's missing from the nominations list is Taylor Swift, whose album, The Life of a Showgirl, missed the cutoff to be eligible. The Grammy Awards will be held next year on February 1st.
Christina, what do you think of this year's nominees?
I'm really excited, especially for Sabrina Carpenter, and I didn't mention her, but I'm excited for Billie Eilish as well, who got nominated. And the new Starbucks Barista Cup launched in stores nationwide on November 6th and sold out within one day. The Barista Cup was made for iced drinks, and many Starbucks fans were disappointed they could not get their hands on it. Some even claimed they got up early in the morning and drove to different locations just to have the viral Bear Cup sold out. Starbucks apologized for the lack of supply and claims that the 20-ounce Bear Cup exceeded their expectations of holiday merchandise. Lionsgate released the first trailer for the upcoming Michael Jackson biopic this past Thursday. The film, simply entitled Michael, explores Jackson's life beyond music from his Jackson 5 days to his solo career. 24 hours after its release, it became the most viewed music biopic trailer ever. Jackson's nephew, Jafar Jackson, will be portraying the musician. Michael is Jafar's first acting role. However, he has been singing and dancing since the age of 12. The film is set to release on April 24th, 2026.
Christina, do you plan on seeing this movie?
I absolutely am. I am a huge Michael Jackson fan, so I'm really excited for this.
Well, thank you, Christina, for bringing us up to things on All Entertainment.
Of course.
That's your Monday briefing. For more before our next show, be sure to follow Texas News Primetime on social media.
And check out our website at tstvnews.com.
Signing off, I'm Daniel Davila.
And I'm Megan Dean. From all of us at TSTV News, thank you for watching.
Now go out and change your world.